Hello everyone and welcome to episode 9 of The Spawn Point. We have Steve making a return after his absence last week. We've got Andy on the right, just over there. And as we do not have a real special guest, we have Vicky Pollard right down in the corner there. She ain't said nutter no nothing, so just remember that. But this episode is all about the controversial point of video games and are they bad for you? So there is, I've got it in front of me just in case I forget. There's been an article, it's actually a Neurology Now article, and it was basically studying about video games and their development, affecting mental development, especially for teenagers. So teenagers that do a lot of excessive gaming, whether it affects them in a certain aspects, if it helps their brain develop or if it makes certain things not develop properly. So in this article, I'll just kind of give a little summary. Mostly it's basically saying that video games only stimulate the control, vision and movement aspects of the brain, but other stuff like behavior, emotion and learning can be underdeveloped if you spend too much time playing video games. Now I imagine we've all spent a lot of time playing video games in our teens, when we were younger.
Oh, is that a question?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That's kind of,
I thought it was still your introduction, yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, I like to think we've turned out all okay.
Don't
hopefully.
You even say it.
I'm not going to say, no, I wasn't going to say, I was going to say all three of us have turned out okay.
Oh, I was going to say apart from Steve.
I'm just really paranoid then. But yeah, so what are your thoughts about video games bad for you? Do you agree with that point to some extent? And what do you think of the whole article? Because we've all had a chance to read it. What do you think of it in general?
I think it's a load of BS, to be honest. That's my take on it. Now, let me say something to you. You can have a really... Shut up, Andy. You can have a really violent video game, yeah? Really violent. Like, I don't know. There's any violent video game out there. Now, just because some child under the age of 18, for instance, and even though they shouldn't be playing a video game at that age, just because they play a video game like that does not mean that they're going to go and pick up a gun and gun people down, for instance. If you play a video game at 18 or, 28 or 38 or whatever, it's down to that individual person whether they pick up a weapon and decide to use it. They have to decipher where reality and the game ends. Now, you can't blame all that on the video game. There's no way. Scientists will say, for instance, that this has a negative effect, which is BS. That's what I think. Yeah, it's really bad when people go out there and kill other people after they played a video game. I agree with that. But it's not just down to because they played a game and then they go and decide to pick up a weapon. That isn't how it happens. They didn't just play a game and next minute they go and kill people. It stems from different things. It doesn't just stem from the video game. There's no way, and it's complete BS. That's my side on it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I agree with you on that respect. But I mean, the thing wasn't completely going on about that. There's also just it goes on about positive aspects of it as well.
Yeah,
I
think it's fairly neutral, isn't it? It's
just,
kind of slightly negative more than other, but
yeah, it's slightly one-sided. But I feel like it can not stunt someone's development, affect someone's development. So obviously, if you're like playing a lot of strategy games and you're good at them, then that's probably going to help your ability to manage lots of different things. Well, for instance, this person's spent a long time in WoW, one of the main people, and they've got overweight, become lazy, and spent all of their time slumped over their computer.
But it's all. Do you know what frustrates me about it is that it's like blaming all of your problems on one thing, and it's just like a really pathetic
it's a scapegoat, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like why are you?
I can't be bothered to leave. It's nice and comfy here.
It's like why are you? It's like, why haven't they got a good job? Why are they obese? Why are they lazy? Oh, it's all because... And why do they like violence? Oh, it's all because of video games.
Them video games!
Let me tell you something. Sorry, go on. Man.
I was just gonna say, I thought we were past. I thought we were like over this whole violence. Obviously, the whole post isn't about violence in video games. It's also about whether it. The whole point to it is that, like, mainly that it develops some aspects of your brain, but underdevelops others, rather than give you a good balance. But like
that's like you can just
it's
do
like
that
anything.
about anything in
Yeah.
life. So if you spent a lot of time, I don't know why it's come to mind, but if you watched a lot of pornography or something, I don't know why that was the first thing that came to mind. But surely that will stunt your development in the fact that you think
is that what they're saying? You should watch that instead of playing games.
Every plumber out there is just going around to clean someone's pipes and have a lot of sex.
I have really heard that really wrong. Gonna clean someone's pipes out.
It's gonna clean your pipes out.
Yeah, darling.
You've got a broken sink.
But yeah,
but that's the type of thing that this sort of stereotypical porno has, and it's like, well, will that stunt their view of plumbers maybe? Or then it probably would.
I'm very happy with my plumber. Just want to put it out there.
I want to say this. I want to say this. This person writes, for a kid who already has an aggressive personality, she writes, that could be a problem, says experts, since video games reward those aggressive tendencies. In fact, 2 separate studies found that playing a violent video game for just 10 to 20 minutes increased aggressive thoughts compared to those who doesn't have aggressive thoughts. Well, again,
but do you know where it trips over itself? You're saying that first of all, saying about aggressive behaviour. So it's not saying that video games are bad for everybody. It depends on the person, as with anything. And the other thing of saying, it kind of contradicts itself, because it's talking about excessive gaming, and now it's talking about 10 to 20 minutes of gaming can affect you. Like, you've got to make your mind up. Is it
but they might be
a
saying
little bit of gaming?
They might be saying 10 to 20 minutes is excessive.
What? So you're meant to play for like 4 minutes and be like, I'm done?
No, I think it's saying, look, even 10 to 20 minutes worth of video gaming can affect you. But I think it stems from, if a person's violent in themselves, then of course, if they're getting these extra violent stimuli, then they're just going to be more violent. Whether that's the same as just like going to.
But the one thing that really pesters me about this is mainly focused on people in their teens or younger. I'd say it's mainly aimed at like 12 to 18-year-olds. I would probably say, and. The thing is, though, is if you're a minor, if you're not at the age of the majority, as they always refer to it as, your parents are responsible for you. Now, if you're playing video games that are violent and you're too young to understand that, and let's say if violent video games, for someone who is a lot younger than they should be, playing that, it does kind of get them confused or get them aggressive or something. They shouldn't be playing that in the first place. It's up to the parents to be responsible for their children and not buy, because they can't buy that game on their own. If they went into a shop, a 12-year-old went into a shop and went, can I have GTA, please? They'd be like, no. And the parents always go, oh, we'll buy it for you, not knowing what they're buying for their kid. And then they complain about, you can't complain about video games if you're the one who's giving them to them, like, if you don't want your kid playing violent video games, well, they've got a thing called an age rating on them, and that prevents your kid from buying it on his own. So how about you just don't complain about something that you're buying for them? This 18 Grand Theft Auto, you can, my kid, I don't want my kids beating up hookers and driving away and taking their money or whatever. Well, they don't have to if you just don't buy them the game. That's the stupid thing about it, is that if you're below the age that it's suggested, and a large majority of people playing GTA are, of course, under the age of 18. But even when I was under the age of 18, like when Grand Theft Auto San Andreas came out, I was one of those kids that managed to get my hands on the game. Not because my parents bought it for me, but because my friends' parents bought it for me. And I played that game loads, and I haven't gone round murdering people or shooting people, or I haven't been violent or attacked anybody or anything like that. I've lived my life just as any other person would, like at my age. They just get on with it. That video games doesn't affect it.
But let me say this: if you've got a violent child, I'm going to say a child because I think that's what they're referring to. If you've got a violent child that's playing violent video games, that seems to me that it's an outreach that they're trying to get something that they can't get in real life. So why don't the parents or someone else try to stimulate them, like a child should have. Because, yeah, agreed, a child should not be playing a game that is age rated 18. The reason why they're age rated 18 is because they're not for. It is for mature users, not for users that are under the age.
Yeah.
You know?
And I've just been trying to find out on just the internet while you've been doing that, how many studies of is video games linked to violence that there's been like ever, and there seems to be quite a few. I've actually stumbled across one from April in the BBC News, and it basically goes on about some researchers modified Half-Life 2 to have a non-violent version, and it's just skimming through it, and it's basically saying like one of the things, the aggression stems from feeling not in control or incompetent while playing, and it's saying that if it's got a bad control system, then that's bringing out feelings of aggression for the players. It's not the fact that it's violent, because it's a non-violent game now. It's got a shit control system. They're like,
think about it. When you play if you play like a first-person shooter like Battlefield or Call of Duty, and you kill someone in the game, you don't immediately think, "Oh, I can't wait to shoot someone in real life. Like that's going to be so much more fun." Like, no one actually ever says that or thinks like that. And to be honest, isn't it better that we get our aggression out on a video game rather than get our pent up aggression and get it out? It's a little bit like the best example I can think of, sometimes they introduce these like youth clubs to get kids off the streets in some place, and sometimes they suggest they do boxing to kind of get their frustrations out. Now you could say, oh well, if they're boxing, that's going to make them better at fighting and make them more aggressive. It's going to make them want
to go out in the streets
and punch people,
box everyone.
But no, it's going to keep them off the street.
Yeah,
it's going to have them taking their aggression out on another platform. Like if you're frustrated and mad, wouldn't you rather somebody take it out on a electronic system than a real human being? Because it's a stress reliever. You don't do it because you go, oh, I really want to play this game and kill some people because I can't do it in real life. Like, that isn't why we buy video games. That's a really kind of jaded view of like, oh, people just buy video games because they want to fantasize what they want to do in real life. It's like, no, it's not about that.
I mean, just going back to your Call of Duty analogy that you just used, I think the aggression that's probably coming from that and stemming from that is the fact that you suck at the game and you keep on dying, and if you keep on going out and you get shot over and over and over again and you're not getting anywhere, then that pents up rage, and then people get aggressive as a byproduct of them being shit at the game. So it's not the game's fault, it's their inability to
it's not even that. They keep overlooking problems. Like when the media talked, like that guy who went on, I don't know if he went on some there was some guy, I think it's like Call of Duty Ghosts got blamed, or I think it did, for, this was when I was I only remember it because I was in hospital last year at the time, so I don't know what Call of Duty game was out then, but I was reading the paper, and it said like, oh, this guy went and shot a lot of people and got his ideas from Call of Duty. And I was thinking, but it mentioned that he was being bullied and other stuff like this, and he had mental problems. Like, if you're being bullied and you've got mental problems, why are you overlooking? It's the answer staring you right there in the face. They're being bullied by somebody, and they also have like mental issues that they can't control. Like that's their own personal psychology. Now, shouldn't we, instead of banning video games, shouldn't we sort out bullying and stop bullying from happening? Isn't that more of a sensible?
That's surely just going, what's the probable cause here? What can we use as a scapegoat to get out of it so we don't have to do anything? Oh, video games.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't ever think I've seen anything ever. It's like because of a violent TV program that they're watching.
But this is why this goes on. People fear what they don't understand, right? Like a lot of people beyond any of our generations, like they're people who are in their 50s, their 60s, and they're basically blaming video games. It's because they don't understand anything about them. They've never taken the chance to try a video game out or play it or get into any, and they just think, oh, it's evil, whatever. But the same thing happened when movies first came out, of action movies and stuff, when there's lots of killing and that. When those first came out, when TV started happening and we started having violence on TV, When that first happened, people were like, oh, this is unsuitable. This is going to make people want to do it in real life. Now that television and all that and movies have been around for a while, we don't get that anymore. And I was hoping we were getting to that point in video games, but now with this neurology piece of poop, it's coming back again in a way.
This comes up every few months, doesn't it? Someone always tries linking it, and every single time it's like, well, we can't prove this. And it's one of those things that if you try and link something together, then you can probably find a very tenuous link. Like you could do a study of 5,000 people, if they eat apples and like 10% of them get cancer. Oh, apples cause cancer.
It's a little bit like saying everyone who eats cornflakes in the morning, like, you know, like 5 million people eat cornflakes for breakfast, and then like 2 people go out and kill someone who are part of that group, and they go, you shouldn't eat cornflakes because it will make you a murderer. You know, like, how ridiculous does that sound? A small, tiny number. These people don't understand there are millions upon millions of gamers, and how many, if it was really an issue, there would be tens of thousands of people going around just killing people. Like, you know, we only hear about these people every now and again, like a few people here and there. Oh, so one guy went and did something out of how many people? You know, that's bound to happen. And yeah, video games like first-person shooters might give you ideas as to what to do, but if them, you know, there has to be a reason in order for you to want to have ideas to do that. You know
what it is. Children or adults who have got mental health issues, and there are a lot of people out there which they can't help it. They should not be playing violent video games, because mental health issues also stem sometimes with individuals can stem into violent tendencies. So if you play a video game that's violent, you may have the tendency to carry that action out. So what I'm getting at is that mental health patients or individuals should not be playing violent video games.
I understand where you're coming from, but I wouldn't say that people with mental health issues shouldn't play violent video games. They should be given help about it, and then
but what I'm trying to get at is that some people don't get the help, so they play video games to take their anger out, which is the wrong way of doing it.
Yeah, but the thing is that people, don't you think that people are going to commit these crimes and murderous activities without video games? It doesn't take a genius to figure, I need a gun to shoot somebody. You don't need a game to tell you that. You don't need a game to tell you that.
No, you don't.
I need to get an AK-47 and go like all over the place. Like,
no,
you don't need a game to tell you that.
No, you don't. But it further progresses someone to do it even more. But
that's the same with movies and everything.
Yeah,
that's
I know.
Like, you know.
I'm not saying that everyone who's got mental health issues should not play violent video games. What I'm saying is that people who have got mental health issues that also do have violent tendencies, that do get spurred on to do other things, those are the people, you know, that should not really be playing violent video games, because they may feel more of, you know, to do it rather than the person that...
No, but it goes back to that thing about it, you know, the boxing keeping kids off the streets. It's the same thing with video games. It's, if these people are doing it in a game, isn't it better they do that than if they, obviously they need to get help with their mental health issues. That's the most important factor here. But then the second most important thing, I would say, is that, you know, they don't take it out on, you know, they have like a place they can vent whatever they need to. And if that's video games, then that's an appropriate place to do it, because it doesn't harm anybody. And video games, you know, when have you ever heard an interview like, oh, why'd you do it? Oh, because I got like, no one gets the motivation to commit crimes from a video game. They might get ideas, but it's the motivation you've got to get rid of, not the suggestions, because there are suggestions in the media, there are suggestions in films, in TV, in games, all over the place. Like, everywhere you look, there is a suggestion, you know, something might give you an idea about what to do, but it's not what you need to get rid of. You need to get rid of whatever is motivating them to want to kill people or to harm people or to commit crimes. Get rid of that motivator, and then you'll be sorted. Because if you've got ideas for something, you're not going to really commit to them if you haven't got the motivation to go through with it, are you?
Yeah, it's like me saying, I watched 4 Lions, I'm going to go blow up the London Marathon. I'm not,
just
Anything
to
on time.
just
I'm not gonna
false
do it,
alarm,
but
false
I-
alarm.
I've seen the film, so I am gonna go and do it because I've seen it. It looks like a fun thing to do. You know, I'm really not. But
Yeah, I
it's
get what you mean.
that type of thing, and I lost my trail of thought. Steve,
Whenever I watch, especially an Arnold Schwarzenegger film, right? I watch the films like that when he's running through and he's blowing things up and he's killing people and stuff like that. I sometimes get so embraced in the film. It's like, I want to be in that. I want to do that. I want to fire that rocket launcher. I want to do this. I want to do that. But it doesn't make me want to go out there, pick a rocket launcher up and blow it up. Blow someone
And
up.
isn't movies? They're more realistic than video games because you can see real people. It's not some digitalized version. It's a real man.
some digitalized version.
You know, digitalized.
I get
But
you.
you know what I mean? It's like
I
if you
think
look
it's
at
a
us right
digital
now, if one of us was to like pull out a weapon right now, that's going to look more realistic than if you were to do it in a game because it's real life. It looks real.
So let's just focus on that. If one of us would pull out a weapon right now, it
Like
would
this.
look more realistic than a virtual weapon.
No, not the gun, not the gun. But I'm saying if one of us was to do that and someone was seeing that, it would be more impressionable because it's going to make more of an impression on someone if it looks more realistic, right? Games will never look more real than the real thing. It doesn't make sense.
I've got weapon of mass destruction I could pull out.
Oh, please don't. No, please keep that away.
I agree with that, and I do get kind of
thank you.
really pulled into films. Like when I wrote Rambo, things like the way Rambo does things, and I think I could do that. Like, but I don't go out there and want to do what Rambo does. But in my mind, it tells me that would be really good. But then my other part of my mind says, don't be silly. And then, of course, the thought goes away. But with some people, when they get that in their mind, they want to go out there and murder people. You know?
But that's not the motivator. That just gives people ideas, but they're not going to commit to it.
It's a trigger.
It's a stimuli.
It's not even a trigger. It's just...
okay, I've seen that. That looks like it might be a fun thing to do for some strange reason.
It's like...
it could give them an idea.
If I was getting bullied at school and I was really upset and I was like, oh, I wish I could do something to those kids someday, and then something comes on TV where a guy's gunning down those people, I go, you see, what was the cause there? It wasn't what you just saw on TV. It was the fact that he was getting bullied.
Yeah, that was just
address the actual issues.
Before that child even watches, that advert or that film, what you just said, before they've even watched that, they've already got in their mind that they're going to kill that person or they're going to kill those people.
Yeah, because of the issue at hand, which is the bullying.
Yes, exactly.
So address the issues that are a problem, not...
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm trying to get at. But what I'm trying to say on this one, violent video games doesn't make people want to go and kill people. It's like you said, the problems, the issues they've got. So, like you said, those issues and those problems need to be addressed, not just brushed under the carpet by scientists saying video games are bad because they make people want to kill people. It doesn't. I
still think
if someone wants to kill someone,
they're going to do it.
They're going to do it. It doesn't matter
regardless of a video game.
Whatever happens, even if they played a million sort of really peaceful video games or something that was saying, we need to hug everyone because we're all hippies, man. They're still most likely going to go out there and kill someone because that's what they've got in their mind that they want to do. So just because a video game has killing in it, it's not a it's not a means to the end.
But the thing is that please don't lose my train of thought right now. I had a really good point. What is it?
Get back on the thought train.
We're talking about not causing violence in video games. But yeah, no, what I was saying is that even though it's probably not it's not the cause, it's not what makes people want to do that. I still think it's smart not to go, everything in moderation is what I was always told when I was a kid. Like, you don't want to do anything too much. Like, excessive gaming might be, if you are doing 12 hours every single day for your entire life playing video games and doing nothing else, then that is a problem. But if you're going to play a few hours every day after you get home from work or school just to chill out and take some of the stress off and you want to do that and that's how you want to spend your free time, that's fine. As long as it doesn't control your life, I think we have every right to enjoy and play video games.
I think there's something that we've sort of overlooked and going in completely the other direction in the fact that if it wasn't for video games, I wouldn't be here right now chatting to you two discussing the fact that video games cause violence. So there is also that social aspect to it all, that people play together and make friends through all of these things.
Yeah, and I like to think that it's helped. I think doing a lot of games in terms of, especially organisation. I used to be terrible. Like, I used to not prepare for anything. I always used to like half-ass do things and never fully commit to them. And when I'm doing, when you're doing games and you're like sorting out your inventory or you're doing stuff like that, when I was doing that when I was younger, like, just like micromanaging. And then I became very good at like just making sure that everything was sorted and everything was in order, and making sure that I kept an eye on everything that I was doing. I didn't lose track of anything. And when I did do something, I didn't just go, oh, I'll just stick that over there, I won't bother. I thought, no, this is important. This needs to be sorted now. When you've got like quests in RPG or an MMO, and you're just like, go do this, go do that. It's not just like, oh, go kill these goblins or whatever. It's
go
like
get
you're
6 monkey butts.
Yeah, it's like you're doing it to kind of manage. Like, okay, so I need to go do this, and then I need to go that. Or strategy games even. A strategy game is, like Hearthstone, for example. That helps your mind. It helps you think. It doesn't. You have come up with tactics. You think of ideas. There's a lot of fundamental skills at work there, and it's not like when I play Hearthstone, I don't think, oh, I'm killing this person or their minions, or whatever. I'm thinking, how am I going to outsmart my opponent? I'm thinking, what am I going to do?
What are the probable things that they're going to do that I can then react to?
Yeah, it's like risk management, critical thinking. Being able to analysis, like looking at what you're able to offer and what they've got and all that kind of thing. They're all skills that are important in.
And then knowing the meta game as well. What is everyone else playing at the moment? What they're most likely going to have, and all of those type of things. There's a lot of things that go into something like that.
Yeah, and this is the biggest thing that for me is when it said about behaviour and emotion. Like, emotion for me, like, I've been able to better handle my emotions, partly due to video games. Like, when I lost a game, I used to get really mad when I was younger. Now when I lose a game, like on Call of Duty or something, when I lose a game on that, now, I'm not as mad as I used to get crazy mad. Like, I used to really get angry. And, but like now, it's just like, I know that if I don't get as angry, I'll do better next time. And if I handle the situation better, I will be able to have a better performance next time. Which is the same for sport. Like, if you were going to be an athlete, if you think, if I don't get flustered, I'll have a better performance for my next race, or it can be like, it makes sense.
So I was just thinking of something else. Yeah, but using the same analogy. I think that's exactly it. Like, if you have it in the right amount, and you sort of learn to deal with it with every other day life, using it in moderation and playing in moderation, then it can actually help stimulate your life and actually aid you in the right direction of where to go.
And Steve, would you agree with that, or would you say in moderation is probably the smartest thing to do?
Well, I don't agree with these people. I know there's professional people that do like Call of Duty and like LOL and all that for like 12 hours a day, but I don't agree with that. But in moderation, of course, because
you're smart about it.
Yeah, there's no point overdoing it and that kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? Like,
it's just yeah.
But yeah, it's all got to be done in moderation. It's like eating eggs. You eat eggs in moderation.
It's like crack. You take crack in.
It's a little bit of a weird analogy.
Don't do drugs. Don't do drugs.
You eat eggs in moderation is a little bit weird to.
Well, same
out of all things,
same as coffee.
You could eat eggs.
Coffee. Like, you drink coffee in moderation. Otherwise, if you drink too much of it, your heart races and you could have a heart attack. So you drink it in moderation. Same with gaming.
Yeah.
Well, I think overall, we've got pretty much come to an agreement, like all round, that video games should be done in moderation, and they can actually be a positive thing, and they're not really a negative thing as long as you're smart about how much time you commit to video games. But before we sign off at the end of this episode, I forgot to mention at the beginning that this episode is sponsored by Virtual Gladiators, who are a server hosting company. You can get a Minecraft server for $4.11 a month and get 10% off using the code VECTRA, which reduces it to $3, £2, which is probably about as cheap as you're going to get. There aren't many places that do it as cheap as that. I don't know what Steve's doing right now. But yeah, that's I think that's all for episode 9 of The Spawn Point. And let us know your thoughts in the comment section of what you thought about what we had to say, and you know, whether you think video games are a good thing or a bad thing, or whether you got mixed opinions. But yeah, from me, Andy Webb, Steve Barnett, and special guest Vicky Pollard, it's goodbye.
Nothing or nothing.
She ain't done nothing or nothing. So from her, from me, from you, and from us,
Ours.
I say goodbyes. I do.